you official. I said I had to question you. But you said a couple key things. I said, okay, she know her stuff. She official. Because there's got a lot of fake people out here. Right. She said a couple key people, and I'm like, oh, okay, she know. Because you know, we know a lot of people out here be frauds and faking. I know. And I'm like, wow.
Yo, what's up? You all are listening to the Vintage House Show on WNUR Street Beat on WNUR 89.3 FM and HD1 Evanston, Chicago. We have some old school party promoters here in studio with us. Jeff Johnson, James Johnson. The Johnson folks are on fire here in the studio right now. They have some unbelievable things to talk to us about. We've got some old school artifacts going on up in here. It is going to be a wonderful show. Stay tuned. Check it out. Share with folks. And we will be back in about 2 seconds. I'm going to listen to a little bit of music and then we'll come right back. All right. I'm going to just share. So these people can still see us, by the way. So we're just like not online right now. So we're doing like 90 things. They can still see us. You all can still, so say hello to your friends and stuff. Hey, so what's up? So got a Lori Branch mix. I don't know if it's loud enough. I don't know if I can get louder. Sorry about reaching over you like that.
I got a lot of mixes in the album that's in the car. I didn't know I was both for me.
Well, if we could get it on SoundCloud or whatever, we could have just thrown it on.
Yeah,
but so you all
see, everybody know me by DJ Scott.
Okay,
yeah, because I DJ too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what what's his I want to hear your origin story with you and Dwayne. Okay. But Dwayne was telling me that you and this guy Ernie, I guess, was DJing somewhere. Yeah. And I was like, that's kind of the way people start to DJ. You know what I mean? Like the whole sort of other thing. But
when we had parties, it was always sold out. Mega crowds.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. All right. We're going to tap back on again. I'm just going to put this, share this with a few groups real quick that we're on. So we are live right now on all of our channels. So I'm going to share this show.
Everybody knows me as DJ Scott.
Okay. So we'll tell everyone you're DJ Scott, which is...
Even if you say AKA DJ Scott.
As known as DJ Scott.
What's that? Right.
Okay. You can't hear the music when this is down, unfortunately. But so we are live at WNUR right now with DJ Scott. DJ Scott's in the house. Jeff Johnson is in the house. Old school promoters, DJs, etc. And welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
So, we like at the Vintage House Show, we believe in history. We start with history. We begin with history. So we're going to talk to DJ Scott and Jeff about their origin story. Are they really from Chicago? Where are y'all from? Where you?
I'm from Chicago.
What community did you go to?
Bronzeville and Southside and Roseland.
Okay. So Southside and Roseland. What about you?
Chicago, southeast side, South Shore area, by way, south suburbs.
So then you moved to South Suburbs?
Yeah.
So you left us and went to the South Suburbs?
Yeah.
No hate on the South Suburban folks. I know the whole Maurice Joshua flow, all my Robert King. They get a bunch of love. But, you're all right. You know what I'm saying? We don't hate on you. But when you're from the South Side like myself, when you went to the best high school in the history of the world, which is Lindblom High School, Technical High School, of course, we have to give the South Side some love. It's amazing that we, made it to the levels we are, sort of given, some of the places we grew up. So, Chicago can do a lot of great things for folks. Talk to me, DJ Scott, about where you went to grammar school, where you went to high school, some of your influences. Were there other house folks and music folks in those spaces where you were as a young person?
I actually went to Marcus Garvey.
Marcus Garvey, yes.
Down the street from Julian.
Uh-huh.
And I graduated from there, ended up at Chicago Vocational High School.
CVS.
Yes,
CVS.
yes.
So were there some other, like, who were the house music folks at CVS? Were they doing a lot of, was there a lot of sort of music folks? Like, at Lindblom, we had Dwayne Woods, we had, a bunch of other folks who were DJing and things like that. So we had sort of that pedigree there. Who was at CVS? What was the CVS crew?
You know what? It was actually, Farley didn't go to CVS, but he DJ'd the parties at CVS. And that's really what drove me heavy into it. I was always having parties, but back then, people would have parties in the basements.
Right.
And the basements would sell out. Then you look around, the whole block was sold out because the whole block was filled with people. And we in there with two little small speakers, and we was just wow. But people was actually dancing to the music. And that's what really got me in this whole field, was started from CVS in my freshman year.
That's nice. That's the way we all learned. That's how the music was just forming, right? So
yes.
They were practicing at sock hops. They were practicing in the basements. They were getting hired. So that's the way that happened. Jeff, talk to me about where you went to grammar school, high school, things like that.
So again, like I said, I grew up over east, 74 from South Shore. And then my parents ended up moving to the suburbs. So I ended up moving out that way. But I was still, my friends were, still in Chicago. So I was cool with Sada. Sada was a good friend of mine. He's always been consistent, and then, like I said, again, just growing up with the DJs, a lot of them were just we were all teenagers. So they were just getting into the game. But
so where'd you go to high school?
I ended up going to a school called Rich East.
Rich East?
South, yeah. So I think...
who was at Rich East?
Anybody that was... Craig Hodges was a guy that played basketball. He went there.
Okay.
As far as DJ wise, you had some DJs that spun, but like as far as somebody really known for house music, Felix the House Cat, he went there. Okay. I was just telling him how I introduced him to Pierre with DJ Pierre.
Yeah.
So with Future, so him, Spanky. So that's how they ended up meeting to do Fantasy Girl.
Okay.
So they were connected. So outside of that, it wasn't really a lot of people outside of myself that was doing a lot with the music and that, with house music back then.
Got it. Yeah, guys, please check out our YouTube page. We have a fantastic video and interview with DJ Pierre. And also Spanky, who passed, right?
Yeah, Spanky passed.
We did one of his last interviews here. He was
wow.
With
okay.
Roy, with a guy named Louis Green.
Okay.
Wes Green, I think. And so we, part of the reason why we do the show is because we want to make sure to memorialize these conversations. Some people don't make it, and we've lost a lot of people who we've interviewed in the past. So their stories are just as important as everybody else's, and I'm happy we were able to capture those. Yeah. So how did you all meet?
So
we probably met because actually, was I promoting before you?
Yeah, because you older than me.
You used to come to all the parties that we were doing.
Right, exactly.
So I promoted so many different parties. It all started like with Mendo as well. It all started from there, and then we were having pretty much parties everywhere. I used to own some clubs. I had some stake in CODs. I owned a club called the Goalpost. How many more did I own, Jeff? You remember?
Yeah, I know you did.
Quite a few.
Hotel Continental used to do.
Intercontinental.
Navy Pier used to do. Yaks.
Park West.
Yeah.
I did, what's that hotel? The 3-story hotel. Me and
Blackstone.
And so I was promoting a lot of parties like that. And Jeff was actually there and came to a lot of the parties. And then Jeff started promoting and doing parties, and the whole network just started from that point on.
Yeah, because I think how I met him was because Marvin Terry. I came up under a guy named Marvin Terry.
Okay,
so he was a promoter that used to do a lot of events, and then probably you and him had did something, and then that's how we connected. But he was with kind of had me zeroed in on them because they was always into fashion. I was into fashion.
I was
Okay.
very
So-
into fashion. Yeah.
And so that's where the synergy came in. So
Got
not
it.
only were these guys fly, but then they also used to do hot events.
Mhm,
So the
mhm.
culture, I was real big on the culture.
That's fantastic. All right, so I got a little ahead of myself. So first of all, so you all met, you were already producing. So Dwayne Woods, we give love to Dwayne Woods. Dwayne, what's happening? What's up? He told me, and you told me that Dwayne used to do your sound. So how did you meet Dwayne Woods, who is a legend for us in sound, in sound production, Craig Loftus, and some others. But how did you meet him? And first of all, you were already DJing at St. Leo. How'd you get that job? Like, how you just
You
come
know
out of
what?
nowhere?
Everyone that DJ'd at Leo, if you messed up at Leo, you lost the job. So it was about 3 or 4 people that was DJing at Leo, including DeAndre was doing something at
Right,
Leo.
Didi, yeah.
Who was DeAndre? What's his last name?
DeAndre Saunders. Galaxy.
Yeah,
Galaxy
Galaxy.
Oh,
Promotions.
Galaxy, okay.
Galaxy Promotions.
So we ended up DJing at Leo,
Mhm.
and we had our own speakers. Actually, they were homemade speakers.
Okay.
So we were DJing there, and Dwayne came, but I actually knew Dwayne before that. He just don't remember that.
Okay.
But he came by there, and he had some amps in his car. He said, "Hey, I can make it sound better."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "You sure about that, Dwayne?" He said, "Yeah, I can make it sound better. I'm gonna hook an amp up to it." And he blew the speakers out. Now we probably did about 3 or 4 parties at Leo, but because that one mistake that Dwayne blew the speakers
Oh
out,
man,
we lost the contract
Uh-huh.
for DJing parties there.
that's
Mm.
crazy.
I've been knowing Dwayne personally ever since then.
He told me you all in each other's weddings,
We was.
so
yes.
that's serious friendship. So I
He
think
was in
that's
my
wonderful.
wedding and I was in his.
That is wonderful.
But I'm
Okay,
divorced now, just so you know.
that's terrible. We don't like to hear that.
I'm sorry,
But
I had to say that.
so, but here's the deal. So you are doing parties at Leo. You're
Right.
spending parties at Leo. Again, how did you get that job? Who hired you to?
Well,
do
when the
Leo?
last DJ got fired, we happened to be there.
Okay.
So I ended up talking to the person that was in charge of that. And he said he would give us a try because he had already heard about us. We were so popular then.
Okay.
He had already heard about us. So he said he would give us a try.
So
And we did.
us is DJ Scott and
And
who?
Ernie Scott.
And Ernie Scott.
Yes.
These names are all like so. DJ Scott, where's Ernie Scott today? Where's Ernie at?
You know what? I think Ernie retired and he's at home with his wife.
Very good.
Yes.
Good for him. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm gonna throw this one flyer on the screen right now for our visitors that are on our streaming services. In the interim, I'm going to have you, for our radio audience, talk to us a little bit about what this flyer said, who these people are, and how you got this Navy Pier gig to move forward. So talk to us about Navy Pier while I put this on the screen.
Well, Navy Pier was one of the places where many people, and can I use the black word because we wasn't able to rent Navy Pier.
Okay.
So I would say that I was probably the first one. You think was I the first one, Jeff?
Yeah, I would say.
To
Most
actually
definitely.
have a party at Navy Pier.
Yeah.
Back then, I was just telling Jeff on the way here because he asked me what the cost was, and I told him it's about $10,000 to actually rent out Navy Pier, and it was very hard to get the permits to do Navy Pier. So we got it, and we had the party. And back then, you had to have you didn't have all the hotels and all that stuff in Navy Pier.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to have school buses. We had to rent that services that bring the
Right.
party goers back and forth.
Back to
Yeah.
Yeah, Navy Pier was radically different than it is
Totally
right now.
different.
So it was definitely not sort of this fuzzy and warm place, but it was in line with sort of the house music flow. We were
It
doing a
was.
lot of underground stuff. But so on this flyer, you have your boy,
Yes.
Mr. Scott, Lorna Leslie. I'm going to give you some love. What's up, Lorna? I was like, how the heck did she get on this flyer? But that was Ernie's girlfriend at the time.
Yes.
But you got Ron Hardy, Gene Hunt. Who else is on that flyer? I can't
Ferris.
say Ferris Thomas and somebody else, right? So, but how did you? So you knew all these cats, and you were like, "Yo, come down." What did you pay them? What did it take to get them to come down and be there on time? And did you have contracts? Did they write something down? Did you actually
No,
have them
we
sign
just
something?
it went by word. I mean, if I told somebody I'm gonna pay them 1,000 or 700 or whatever it was, that's what we paid them.
So did you know Ron Hardy? You just called him that.
I
time?
knew Ron Hardy.
So you knew Ron.
Yes.
So he knows you're going to pay him.
Exactly.
Exactly. Same thing with Gene Hunt. Do you know him well?
You know what? I didn't really know Gene Hunt super well, but I knew Gene. But it wasn't just me. It was more people involved in it.
Mhm.
So other people bought different people as well. So, but as far as Ron Hardy, Ferris, and I would say Ernie, because of course Ernie was my protege, who that I made a name for out there as far as the DJ. Well, actually, I made a name for everybody, I believe. But so most of these guys I've been knowing for a very long time.
Got it. And so they just, again, so you're telling me back in that day, you had no contracts with them. You simply said, I'm having this party and I want you to come. Did they give you their pictures already? Or like, how did you had pictures of them already to give to them?
Yeah.
And you made that flyer yourself too?
I had pictures same thing. I had pictures, and what I did was send the pictures into the printer, and then we printed the pictures out in the poster boards to promote it.
Who was your printer?
Emergency printing.
So same emergency printing.
Larry.
What was Larry's last name?
I forgot Larry last.
That's the whole thing. It's like half the people you were doing business with these people, you don't even know their whole, situation, which is so weird.
Yeah,
a lot of times too, we used to take pictures too with the Polaroid cameras. Remember that? And they come out.
Yes.
And that's how you would see like the pictures where you would see like that, where you was talking about, and then he would go in and then
create this,
design it.
Guys, so this is an old school flyer that you don't see a lot of. Like that Navy Pier picture, I'd never seen before in my life because I would have remembered because Warren was on it. So I appreciate you bringing.
And if you turn that around, it's got all the high schools and.
So this the first time you guys see in the back because they only see the front. They never see the back. So now that's the actual one of the original flyers.
Exactly.
So here's this event. So what year was this? This says October 7th. What year was that?
That was in like 88.
So 1988, you got Fingers, Terry Hunter, Armando, may he rest in peace, who also went to Lindblom, by the way. So I'm really looking to learn more about Armando as well in a more deeper way.
Armando, all these guys were good friends of mine. So Armando,
Mike Williams, who I think has been on the show, but there's two mics that I always feel like I'm missing a mic that we should have talked to.
Oh, Mike Winston with the power play.
We know Mike Winston well, so he's definitely a friend of the show. But it's another mic. That
Mike Dunn?
Nope. It's another mic. It's gonna come to me. But so this is really interesting too because this is 1988, and you're introducing some new acts to the
Ron Carroll,
right? So back in the day, Ron Carroll.
So that was in 88.
Names incorrect. Boo Williams.
DJ Rush.
Best Newcomer Awards. Yeah,
DJ
the newcomers are Eric Wade. Where's Eric Wade? Where's Vincent Miller? Who are some of these guys?
Oh, well, they still around. They still doing stuff. Boo just got back from Berlin. Ron Trent, he's in New York. He's in New York.
But some people become superstars because these are global stars. And then some people we don't know sort of what they are and what they're doing. We would love to have Eric Wade on the show. We want to hear what he's up to now and his memories of the time as well. Vincent Miller, critical that we talked to Vincent Miller, Bill, and Marlo Southall. I have an interview with him back in I think 2014 or 15 that I've got to find. But if you all know these guys, tell Lorenzo York, to come through to the Vintage House Show. We would love to interview and see what they're up to right now. So we talked about Navy Pier, which I'm so impressed by because, we have a fantastic exhibit right now at Navy Pier. And we highlighted the artifact that had Lil Louis at Navy Pier.
Right.
And, so realizing back, Navy Pier was a huge part of the house music scene back in that day. People were trying to book things. How did that party go?
It went well.
Did well?
Yeah, it did well. Dwayne set up the sound hall. Remember Dwayne had the tower speakers in there on both sides. I don't know. He had to have about 8 sub bottoms there, double sub bottoms. Then the mids and the highs, and they stacked up until they got up to the highs. But it went very well.
That's fantastic. All right, so talk to me about this. So you produced this as well?
Yes, that was the Bismarck. I used to do Bismarck. So it's like he would do Navy Pier, I would do Bismarck. Marvin Terry was the guy that we people follow in his footsteps. So he would do the larger events.
So love to Marvin Terry. Where's Marvin Terry at?
He's around. I talked to him a couple, maybe last week. He don't want to do interviews. A lot of people want him to do interviews. He don't want to do it.
Why not?
Because all of the, like I said, he hear different stories about people saying this, people saying that, but the one thing they all say, they drop his name. And I try to tell him he was very influential, but we all influential.
All
in
influential.
But
I mean,
people try to take credit for this movement. This movement was a collective thing. And it's like, I could agree to disagree. If we can all agree to disagree, we all played a major part in this.
A major part.
A huge part. I mean, you having events with these key top of the line DJs. Almost all of these DJs now are international names.
Well, keep in mind,
and they were just young people back in the day.
And keep in mind, we're the ones that made them into what they are.
Okay.
Regardless of what anybody tell you, we promoted them. We put their name out. When you see 20,000, 100,000 poster boards out there, 500,000 flyers out there, we're the ones that put it out there.
And see, and let me correct, because I don't want to, because I know how these DJs get. We didn't make them.
They were artists.
Because they were artists. They used their creativity, but we all work together.
Right.
So, like, one hand washes another. So, just like because we promoted them, they actually had a name. Some of them didn't have names. And we believed in them enough that we felt that we put them on. And so we worked together because they came through and did their craft, and so they didn't let us down. So it was like it was a collective thing together. We worked together to build each other up.
And I agree with that. I'm just older than Jeff is, so I kind of started the game a little bit ahead of Jeff. So a lot of people that I promoted, they started with me, with me promoting. But in this aspect of what you're saying, yes, I agree with that 100%.
Right, because I had to come after. So Frankie was already made.
Exactly.
Ronnie was already made. So all of them. So when these newer guys came into play, the Rushes, the Boos, the Ron Trish, not saying that they were new. They've been in the game, but they,
Right. But here's the deal. What you're saying is absolutely correct.
So
if
we
they
all
don't
started
have a
together.
place to have a party where people can come and dance, then they're playing to nobody. They're not getting better. They don't become famous if they don't have a place to play. If someone like you doesn't say, I'm having a party and we need the music.
Right.
And we need you to do that. If no one does that, they do nothing. They certainly don't do anything here. So the promoters are critically important to this. That's why we have to give love to Robert Williams for moving the warehouse forward.
Exactly.
The power plant with Frankie. With Mendel, we try to give Kirk Franklin all the love. We have got a wonderful documentary now on WTTW.com. You can still see it on the air as well, where we talk about the history of house music. We bring stories that people don't normally tell. And we absolutely made sure that the wonderful director and producer, Barbara Allen, used stories from Kirk Townsend, from Gene Hunt, some of these people who don't get all the love that they should. And had I known you, I would have made sure that they talked to you too about doing that, because the promoters don't get love even in that documentary. So we got another promotion documentary that should be coming out. We should be creating it ourselves,
And that's true. Like you was just saying, because we don't get they don't understand the dancers, you know what I mean?
The bouncers, everybody played a part.
Right.
Fashion was very, very important.
It was a culture.
And that's something that nobody really talks about. As a matter of fact, when we was at that event at the church out there, that's what I mentioned to Kirk. I said, nobody never talks about the fashion part of house music.
And that's, we should talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to throw this out here since you put it out here. Is this new, old? What is
this? This is kind of new. So just like a lot of the DJs, I did just bring it back just to keep the culture alive. But, talking about different clubs like Sawyer's,
Rialto's,
all the different
stuff. It's a great video, great artifact here. So what year did you create this? You have
now, this was later. So I was like, boy, way later. That was probably in the early 2000s or something. Somebody was trying to keep things
Keeps it
alive.
We love that.
You know what I
got
mean?
Sadar in here. Where's
Sada. He travels a lot. He's over in Australia a lot. He's in Amsterdam a lot. So those are, but like a lot of the spots we talk about, like Gallery 21, we talk about AKAs, we talk about Medusas,
right.
Sawyers,
But some of these things again,
CODs,
like,
where he did, you know, Rainbow, Playground, Janelle's.
Well, we don't, you know, where I hear about Coconuts down the street as well. But Janelle's, whatever you pronounce it, I hear a lot about that more with the Latino crowd. They were doing a lot, the dancers, and they were doing a lot at Janelle's. And I don't hear a lot of Black people talk about them going to that club, you know, going to that place. Some of the places up there. So we're trying to, you know, gather more information. Where are those spots where people were? So I love this. This is fantastic. The Ritz, Club Lorraise.
Right, Club Lorraise. Because
like
when a lot of those clubs closed down, then we used to have to go frequent places like Lorraise.
Exactly.
What was the club up north here where there used to be parties there? Tony Baton.
Riviera.
Yeah. Whatever happened to that place?
It's still there.
It's still there?
They still have events there. It's a huge place, but they've had, you know, they have big events there a lot. Okay. So, did you do work with Tony Batoy, or did you?
You know, I did one event with him before. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. That was a long ago.
Well, I think he's definitely spoken to a few people about all the things he's done. He could do his own documentary. I think that would be really great. Yeah, but everyone should be telling that story.
Every Tony Batoy party was jam-packed too. So.
That's true. So I want to talk a little bit about so we talked about the party scene, putting together those different acts, putting together all of the DJs, making sure they're on and off. You didn't have contracts, which seems odd to me. Like, do you think anyone wrote a contract to bring people in? Like, I've never talked to Kirk Townsend about whether or not Wayne Williams, he knew he was coming, you know, that kind of thing. Like, you know, how did you know
eventually they did as they got bigger, and then they might start trying to do contracts and stuff. But back in the day, it's just you grew up with these guys, so it's like your word is your bond. And they give you a number, and this the number that you pay.
Yeah. You know, that's the key thing. Is it's so much fun. You wanted to be there, but then people want to get paid too, because a lot of people, that was what they were doing. Right?
Yeah, that's how we made them.
We paid them.
Yeah, I made. That's how I actually made a living.
But you got to think, if I threw the party, and the party sold out and then some, I had enough to pay them. Sure. I made money too, a lot of money.
That's good. I'm hoping. That's why I asked about how the party went. You know what I mean? Like, how did they do? So talk to us about the different places that you had parties. You gave us some other flyers. I saw some music box. I saw some other things. The place on 111th and Michigan and Yak. So talk to me about those different places and how you found them and how you sort of were able to convince people to allow you as a young person. Because how old are you when you're creating these parties?
Probably in my late teens, maybe.
I mean, you're a teenager.
Yeah.
If a teenager came to you right now, to your club, and was like, look, I want to have this party, you're going to like be trying to talk to his mother, you know, like you're not going to just be like, sure, you can do this. Even if you're a part, you know, even if I think you're a seasoned person, you're going to look at a teenager like, you want to rent Navy Pier? What the, you know what I mean? Like, how were you able to do that?
Well, I was a little older for Navy Pier, but back then, I think what carried me the furthest was the whole fashion thing, because I was a very fashionable person, and I designed clothes, and I did fashion shows. I worked with what was there?
Charles Douglas.
Charles Douglas and people like that. Charles was the buyer of men's clothing at Carson's at the time.
Oh, nice.
So I was heavy in fashion. So a lot of people already knew us. So, and like he was just talking about how me and Ernie, we used to wear the riding boots. Actually, we designed our own riding boots. So we were well known. So when we go and talk to people about doing
like
events,
the shirt I got on, popular. Back in the day, GA.
Yeah, exactly.
The GA tank tops.
So when we go to do events, people already knew us.
Got it.
And people used to always ask me, where do you get the money from to do all this? And we used to tell people where we work. Meaning we work promoting and doing the things that we do. So that's what really made it easier for me to rent different places. Now, by the time it came to places like Navy Pier. I think I paid. I think I said it was about $10,000 for me to rent the place back then. I'm sure it's way more than that now.
Right.
But
that was a lot of money back then.
And that's a lot of money today. And so I'm really trying to figure out.
Bismarck.
So you just walk around with $10,000?
No, I made the money.
But we would make that kind of money. Like the Bismarck was $7,500 back in the day.
Yeah.
So like to do a party like that, but then you would get like 2,500, 3,000 kids. So
but you're only paying. But how much are they paying to get in there?
Oh, well, they paying, $5, $7.
That is a small amount of money for. I mean, I'm just like.
But then, if you think about
it,
think about that. So think about that. If you look at it from a perspective, just round it off.
Right.
At if it costs you $7,500, and then you promote it, it costs you a few more $1,000. So you say you out of $10,000, but then you turn around and make $30,000. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
It just you spend the 10 to make another, 15. Because you're gonna get that money back, and then you follow me?
So back in the day, but later than you, I used to have parties. So I started having parties with a group of friends. First with the group of my sorority sisters. We were called PG Productions, and then I had a group.
I think I remember the Pretty Girl or something.
Yeah, it was
I remember that.
So we had some parties, and then we also had parties with. I also had parties with two friends of mine from Northwestern. We first started having our reunion parties, and then we just started booking, real places and just having a bunch of people come. But what we did, except for when we used to do the what's that place, that's over there on State Street with the Corn Cob building? What's that, House of Blues? Mm-hmm. We always had to pay something at the House of Blues, but every place else I negotiated. I work in real estate, so I would negotiate my, our ability not to pay. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like,
that's part
we
of the
can't
promotion.
pay these things. Even when we started making money, it wasn't our the things we did. So we literally split our money, and we never saved anything. We were just like, money gone.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a business mind to say, I'm going to save this money. Did you have a business account? Did you put money in the bank? You knew you were going to save this money because you were going to continue to do that?
I actually did. I put money in the bank, and I made investments to make money. And today I own a fuel company and an HVAC company. So that's my success. As a matter of fact, I was in Rolling Out magazine as one of the Chicago's, I guess what did they say, silent millionaires of Chicago.
Oh, cool.
So I was in that magazine for that. Yeah.
Well, you had to be resourceful if you were paying $7,500 to $10,000 to book a place
in the 80s.
In the 80s.
In the 80s.
As teenagers or young people, even if you're under 25 years old, you know what I mean? That's serious, sort of entrepreneurship. At the highest level.
I definitely. I had the Gucci's, the Louis, everything I was wearing.
So you spending all that money on clothes too.
No,
so
I made a lot of money.
Good.
And you got to imagine, he older than me. So at that time, I was probably about 15, 16 years old. Right. So I started partying at the Music Box. I was 15. That was in 85.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So when I did that party at the Bismarck, that was in 88. So you imagine you our mindset there, as far as making money and learning how to make money. Because remember, I started out partying, and then I got eventually going into the promotion part.
Because Jeff used to be at every one of our parties.
Right. I'm going to their parties.
Got it.
I'm going. So it's just hanging out and then seeing these. And then I'm like, okay, this is interesting. They're making money. They're having fun. They're making money. And then as I start to see it, I'm like,
they're making money. They're having fun, but then they're making money, right?
Exactly.
I got to make this money.
And I'm like, I got to figure that out.
Okay. So I now have to go back to your 15, 14. Where are your parents? Are your parents it's okay for you to go roll into the Bismarck? What's going on with that?
So believe it or not, my parents, they were young at the time, but they were busy. And so I was able to go to grandma's house.
Right.
And so I'm at grandma's house. Grandma, she in bed by,
right.
7, 8 o'clock.
Right.
I'm going to grandma's house. She in bed. Music Box don't open till midnight. Or I'm going to Mendo, leave Mendo, go to Music Box. So long as you get back home prior to, and even if you don't, you say, hey, I'll spend the night over a friend's house. So they could never find out where you were. So people were like, how did you go out at 15 years old to the music box?
I
But
know,
like I said,
amazing.
my mom, she young, she hanging out.
Right.
So
she out too, right?
she out.
Right,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? So she like,
But
go
it
to
was-
grandma's house.
But it was
Right.
also safe.
Yeah, it was
Back
safe
in the
then.
We
day.
go,
Right.
and especially when we were doing the Catholic schools,
Mm-hmm.
we never had to worry about getting into fights or
That's
getting
true.
shot at or anything. We went there, we had a good time.
Exactly.
We left there, we went to, like we said, McDonald's or White Castle, some had food.
Exactly.
Or a lot of the parties, like he said, may start at 11 or 12.
Mhm.
We come out of there and you come out and the sun is beaming, you like, wow.
Right.
We've been here all night.
I know.
Then we go home.
Right.
Exactly.
We never had trouble.
We were so blessed in that day where we
Mhm.
could play on our blocks.
Yes.
And then even if we snuck out, we could get back safely. Even if we were on the train, we knew we were going to make it back. There was no issue or anything like that. But it's still interesting how people were able to get out and make it to the warehouse and make it to these different places. Because I'm always like, were your parents even aware? I recognize my dad snored so loud that even if I made a bunch of noise, he wouldn't hear me come in. You know
Right,
what I mean? Like,
exactly.
no one would hear you come in no matter what time you came in. I had to get in way before daylight. I don't understand how you all were out till daylight. That don't make no sense because your parents wake up when the sun comes up. So how are you getting in?
But that's what I was explaining. So what I would do a lot of times is for my grandma, she'd be up at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I'm not there.
Right.
So when I come in, remember the club will go from 12 to 12 or 12 to 10 in the morning.
Mhm.
So you'll leave, you coming in, I'm coming in with my buddy. So I would just say I stayed over at his house.
Right.
And then he would say to his parents, he stayed over at my house. So
Exactly.
no one knew the difference if we at the club. And that's
then
how it
we,
worked out.
we had because we used to do block parties. So I remember the party we had. Me and Ernie had the party on 105th. No, we DJ'd for somebody,
Mhm.
and that was on 105th and Wallace.
Okay.
And that's this huge park across the street.
Yes.
We in the backyard had our equipment, our speakers sitting there, and that whole backyard filled up. The whole block, the park.
Wow.
It took at least 2 hours for the police to clear that park out. And it wasn't that they cleared it out because it was trouble. It's
Uh-huh.
just that the park had closed.
Right.
So
right.
it took at least 2 hours for them to clear all the people off of this little back party with 2 little speakers.
Mhm. That's
And there
that's
was no
crazy.
trouble at all.
So Scott Lee is saying a few things to you. He says 7,500 in 1989 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $19,000 today, over 35 years. So he's given us all the stats on the kind of money
Thank
you
you.
had
Wow.
and what it would be today. So that's. Did someone mention Craig Armstrong? He's watching. I don't know Craig Armstrong, but anyway. So I feel like what you all did is just amazing. I want to talk to you about your favorite memories. What are some of your favorite memories about some of the parties you had back in the day?
You know what it was? Dressing, having the contest for the best dressed person,
Okay.
the dance clubs,
Mhm.
and we used to compete. I was in the Spy Guys. I was in Spy Guys, and what was the other one? I
You
was
the
in
Spy
two
Guys.
different-
What was the Spy Guys? Tell us what the Spy Guys
we was a
were.
dance club.
Okay, so you with me. Whoa.
Yeah, I
You didn't say
danced too.
that. Okay, so you were DJing, you were promoting, but then you were a dancer too?
I was in a dance club. Yes.
I love the dance.
So you know
groups. We
Hans.
love
So
the dance
Hans, all of
Yeah.
us,
Yes.
we always in different.
Hey
clubs.
Hines, what's up, Hines? What's up?
Hans,
See, I'm
that's my
always
man.
curious because I used to say the DJs. I feel like it when back in the day before COVID hit, we would have like 20 people in this thing, and
Mhm.
we had a bunch of DJs in here. And I always felt like they really couldn't dance. Like, can they dance? They kind of behind the mic, behind the decks right there,
Work
doing
to the
this and that,
bass.
doing this. But you don't know if they can really party. So you all were partying. You were a dancer as
Oh,
well. I
yeah.
like the dancers. I love the dancers. I always love a dance crew. I think that was always fun. Because
Spy
I love the
Guys,
battles of the
front
dancers.
row.
But that was a lot. North
Right.
Side did a lot of that.
Yeah.
So
And
you
we
were
used to
dancing.
Fly
Yeah,
Guys.
and we used to always meet at the terminal, which is 95th Street,
Okay.
and all the dance clubs would meet up there. And
Really?
then we would promote our parties. If I'm having a party, I would promote the parties there.
Mm-hmm.
So we would all meet. This was an everyday thing at 95th Street.
Yes.
After school,
Uh-huh.
everybody meet at the terminal.
That was 95th Street used to be fire. We used to
Yeah.
love it so much. But okay, so did you all have some dance battles or
Yeah, we
what
did.
did you all do that? Who were some of the other groups that you were
I was just
battling
trying
with?
to think of
Just try
some
to
of the
remember
name.
some
I
of those
noticed
Front row.
Ultra Wave,
Spy
Spy
Guys.
Guys, in which I was
Fly
Guys.
Guys.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. It was a lot.
I would love to have a whole sort of dance crew discussion here.
Yeah.
Just have maybe doing an interview room where they have everyone across thing and we just talk about those days of the dancing. We had a group of sort of North Side dancers, the Colitos and the All Stars. They were North Side dancers, mainly Latino and African
They were
American.
doing all the Janelles and all
Janelle,
that.
they're doing those places. So we don't always hear. We heard about old school, like the Doctors or some of those other folks who was doing like some dance stuff, but not so much sort of the younger groups. So I would love to hear more about sort of that. So your favorite memories are fashion, around fashion, and
competitions,
and the
dance club,
competitions,
fashion.
etc. Did you have a favorite club? What was your favorite club that you booked it or you like to go to?
You know what? I would probably say Frankie's Club over on
Power
Halsted.
Plant.
The Power Plant. That was really one of my favorite clubs. Yes.
That's nice. That's nice. Jeff, what are your fondest memories?
I'm a Music Box refugee.
Nice.
So
That's
Ron
my second.
Hardy, Music Box. That's where I fell in love with the sound system, the culture, fashion, everything. So I hate to say that word turned out. I don't want to say that. But I got into that life as far as the music and the culture was from the Music Box. Even though, I was younger, 83, 80-ish, I was more like listening to going to the Bismarck BMX Hot Mix 5. And so, but once I elevated and in 85 went to the Music Box, so I'm not going to be claiming I went to the warehouse or I went to the power plant. I would be lying to say that. You know what I'm saying? So for the record, so I'm one of the ones.
Yes.
So with the guys, they be saying,
they hold you out too if you're the ones that, I was at the warehouse. They be like, no, you weren't.
No. I was that second generation. So I wasn't in the start of the house, and the people I was the guy that carried house, kept it moving, kept the torch going, kept the game going, I want
to know this from your generation and your generation, and I have my own comments on this because, this show likes to talk about sort of every facet, just like of house music and its culture, very much like the documentary. I please encourage you to watch that documentary. It's very easy to watch on WTTW.com. But we talk about sort of the gay presence and the gay origins of house music. And I'm wondering, in your sort of group, did you think there was a stigma to the music because of sort of the gay presence there? Or do you feel like you sort of superseded any kind of bias or discrimination against people who were gay because of the love of the music? Or what did you think?
Never.
We were never.
It was all about the music.
All about the music and the culture.
Fashion. You have people come in with these tall hats on and different things. So it didn't matter if you was gay. We know who was gay and we knew who was straight. That didn't matter. We all partied together. Yeah. Like I was telling Jeff earlier, if I went to a party where there was going to be, I always had a female companion with me anyway when I'm DJing a party or something like that to that effect. But we never had a problem with that. We all got along just fine.
Right. Like I was telling him, I was going to Belmont Rocks back in the day to the parade in 87, 88, 80 during that time.
You knew the music was going to be on fire, right? You just kicking it.
Because I was there the year when Ron Hardy played at the Rocks. Okay. I was there when Frankie, of course, he used to be there at the Rocks every year. But when Ronnie played there, when Ronnie and Andre played the Rocks. So it was like, we just, for the music, it didn't matter. And we weren't homophobic. It's like, whatever. If you got a love for the music, we got. It's all about that.
I feel like house music, when we talk about house music, it changed, I think, a lot about sort of Chicago culture in general. So not just house culture, but it changed Chicago culture. We didn't have biases to anyone because we loved the music. So it wasn't about looking at people and discriminating against them because they were, gay or straight. It was like, we partying to the music. Their outfit is our outfit.
Exactly.
Remember,
if you was into fashion,
they were wearing makeup and stuff like that. We wasn't bothering us, that kind of thing. And that changed because other places is not the same. You know what I mean? But I feel like sometimes we don't realize that some of the folks who were in the gay community did still feel a little stigmatized a little bit. Maybe they weren't as confident themselves, but we didn't see that because we were just kicking it with them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a big deal. But
And
you
then
know, as we
my kids, my son, my oldest son, his mom and her mom was if you ever heard of this group called Pat and Vera. So they used to do executive suite.
Yeah, they be sweet. They've been
Yeah.
on the show.
So with them, they did the parties for the crowd. So Frankie used to spin, Michael was a buku. So that's how I got in tune. Going to Belmont Rocks for the gay parade and stuff like that.
Nice.
And so during that time in the 80s,
and see, everybody knew us because of our fashion.
Right.
Like this, you said Gucci. This bag right here is an original from 1982.
You lying.
I kid you not.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That is beautiful. Show the crowd.
This is the original portfolio.
Shut up. That is in
from the
pristine
1980s.
condition.
Yes.
So my wonderful
you see it's in
boyfriend
mint
bought me
condition,
a wonderful
right?
Gucci that I tore up almost immediately. You know, it's like my parents didn't believe in like anything that would cost more than $1. And I think for my birthday one year, but it had to be like 1984, bought me a Gucci purse. I thought it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But guess what? I definitely don't have it today. You know what I mean? So that's serious business. You still got that.
Exactly.
I was telling them about some Gucci sneakers from 1984.
Oh my God.
And I still got
You could probably sell those for some outrageous amount.
I looked them up. There was $1,000. I'm
you
sure
don't want
to
to see my closet.
Oh my God. I do want to see your
Oh,
closet. That would be we need to film from your closet, basically.
Indeed.
And I just want a small, like, 2% when we sell some, just a small 3 to 5%. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna get you some big. If you want to sell some stuff, you can sell it. These people would love that. That is so beautiful,
Thank
by
you.
the way. That is so beautiful.
Did you all ever talk about the preppies and the new wave people and any of that? Because that's really that kind of started before house. Because back then we used to wear the penny loafers, put the nickels, the pennies, and the quarters in them. So it started from there, and then it's kind of faded all into the house music.
Talk to us. I mean, clearly you love fashion. I did see some of your sketches, and I didn't quite understand it. So I appreciate it. Whoa.
That's the old Gucci.
That's the old Gucci
Gucci
belt
belt.
that's now like in
That's the
Gucci
old
bags,
Gucci
right?
belt. These are the 84 Gucci's.
Oh my God.
That's
Those
the
are
old
totally,
Giorgio Armani.
those are the GA stuff.
Right.
I don't like anymore. But this is hype right now. Yeah, the Gucci thing is hype right now.
These are the 84. I still got it.
That is so crazy. But you know what? I'm happy you said that. We have always talked, just a little bit about fashion. Because, most of the flyers will have fashion show and things like that. And we'll talk about it a little bit. But since you know fashion, talk to us about sort of that evolution from, how we were being, from preppies, from punk, I would say, to preppies, to how the different sort of fashion things evolved with house music. Because we know hip hop fashion, but we don't talk a lot about house music fashion. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, basically, house music, like I said, it started off with the penny loafers, the tight jeans, the long shirt that hung down long, not tucked in.
Right.
That's where that kind of the preppy scene kind of came from. And the girls used to wear similar to what we wore, except they looked a lot better. And then from there, it switched over to more of the high-end fashion, whereas people wore the Willie Wear, the Jabos, and all of those clothes.
It started to elevate a little bit. It went from Izod and Polo to all of a sudden we're doing GA. You needed jobs to go get some of those things. That's when people had jobs, part-time jobs.
And that's when the boosters started to come into play. So that's when the boosters started to come into play. And that's where you hear they're talking about merch and all that. And they I got this merch. And then you get the people like the Genos and the Dominiques, and they were the boosters back in the day. And if you wanted to have those type of clothes.
And every time Jeff would see us, we were always sharp. Was we not?
Yeah.
And we designed.
But I was right with you.
And he was right.
Yeah, I was right with you.
We designed it like he could tell you about the riding boots that we designed to wear. But the clothing that you saw was actually my design, and I was just telling Jeff about the stovepipe pants. Those were the wide leg pants, but they were wide leg from here all the way down. Whereas to the wide leg that they came out with later, it was kind of wide leg when they got to this part. So all the fashion played a big major role in it. And then when we had the competition in fashion, we made sure every single time we wore something different, something sharp, and people would always ask us, where did we get that? And we used to tell them, we got it from Marshall Fields, but we actually made it. So people would actually go looking for it And it wasn't at Marshall Field.
We need a whole nother show about how you made clothes. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like in the
But
real
this
world.
jacket, this like a jacket that was made back in the
I
day.
mean,
But
no,
this
the whole thing
design
is like, yeah, in the real world, people are not making their clothes. My sister she still makes today a lot of her own clothes, but back in the day, like who was making clothes? I mean, I'm just saying, like
different people.
we need to understand
That
how
was
you
a
did
thing.
that. Well, that's another whole show. We're gonna run out of time here, but we definitely need to talk about that. I'm gonna go back a little bit. So Brian Hayes talked about the penny loafers. So remember he wore Izod and polos with a collar turned up, and then Scott Lee's always talking about the ripped jeans with the safety pins in them. So that was like that little bit of that.
Bleach jeans with the bleach.
Be
Zodiac boots. Yeah, all of that.
You remember all those things. Like now, as soon as you say it, I'm like, gosh, I remember all of those things. I'm gonna go back a little bit, bring it back to house music to close out. How did you meet Frankie Knuckles?
You know what? Ray Brown, which was the guy that worked with me and promoted with me, he had a girlfriend. I can't think of her name. She was with Frankie all the time, and she's the person that introduced me to Frankie. Not only that, but when she introduced me, I'll ask Ray that, but when she introduced us to Frankie had already heard of us.
Okay.
So he already knew who he was.
Interesting.
Yes.
How did that feel? Knowing was Frankie Knuckles the Frankie Knuckles that we know of today? And how did it feel when he already knew who you were?
It was a good feeling. It was a good feeling because, I realized at that point, I realized how well we were known.
Got it.
Because even we had parties at, I was just telling Jeff again about when we had a party we was having it behind a museum, but everybody thought it was at the Point. Okay. So me and Ernie was at the Point, and we were standing up. Everybody's looking for us and where the party was. So we stood up on a bench, and they said, there they are. So we said, the party is behind the museum, not over at the Point. You know what the Point is,
yes,
right?
Of course.
And so I was just telling him how somebody had my shoes on, because that's how we was back then. And I actually took the shoes off and gave them to the guy. Yeah. So I know, I just had to tell him. But
that's very funny.
Again, that whole fashion thing is something that a lot of people don't talk about when you talk about house music.
Yeah.
And that's what made us stand out from other people.
The swag. I look at it, call it the swag. You certain people that were back then, you knew them because of how they dress, their whole demeanor, Yeah.
Okay, so how did you meet Ron Harvey?
I was going to the music box, going down. I was a weekly. I was faithful every week. I was there. Like I said, once I got in tune, I was hooked. And so over the course of time, and then you start buying
you
tapes.
To the music box does not mean you go meet Frankie Knuckles. So how did you meet Frankie Knuckles?
Well,
Ron Hardy. I'm just saying,
just like I said, just going every week, and then eventually you go, let me buy a tape, because he'll sell tapes, and then you have the music, and then over the course of time, you just get to know him, because you're there every week. So remember, you got to keep in mind, after you see a person, now you don't spend money with the person, and then it's like you just become friends. And then I introduced him, like I was telling him, to Pierre. They brought the acid track, got them to bring it down there. And I remember the time when he brought it to them, and he got it, and he played like, okay, thanks, and they never came back. But I'm there every week. So I gotta call him and say, hey, yo, Ronnie just played your track at the music box. And he like, for real? Like he remixed it, he played it, and he had the beginning part, he had it just like kept going. And I was like, bro, they went crazy. He played the song like about 5 times. Wow. So now they come back that following week. So then we forged a relationship. After that, they got signed to Trax Records. And so then it's history. So now you keep in mind, now the music box is closed. I got him to do the Bismarck, and then I got him to do AKAs, and then he got, so you have to keep it. That's how it evolved.
And I got to say one thing. I got to give a shout out to Ernie Scott.
Ernie Scott.
That's what we call him.
Ernie Scott.
Ernie Scott back then was like one of the top DJs out there.
Yeah, yeah, he was a good DJ.
And I promoted him. Okay. Yeah. And he was good. And we were good because we were good. Matter of fact, I told him they used to call us Duran Duran. Believe it or not. Because we were very heavy in fashion.
Got it, yeah.
We did have all the prettiest females than we can have in the world.
Yeah.
And you know,
They
Lorna,
was some fly
Lorna
guys.
Leslie was
They,
one of
they
those
was some
girls.
fly
yeah,
guys
she
back in the day.
She was his girlfriend, and she was very cool too.
She is super cool today. So we've got about 2 minutes, maybe 3. Talk to us about what you're doing today. You told us a little bit about that, and what you think about house culture, the house movement, what's happening today. How do you see it? What is the future of house in your point of view?
Well, my point of view, house is going to be around forever
Mm-hmm.
because house transition. You had disco, house, and then disco and house, so it's going to be around forever. I don't see it changing. Actually, the younger generation is leaning more toward house. My son, his name is DJ Eli. He DJs, and now he's converting to a lot of his music into house music because of his dad.
That's great.
You know, so I see house being around forever.
So you're contributing to the culture with the young people. So I appreciate that. What about you? What do you think about the future of house music? As someone who was there from, sort of the middle of that movement to today, what do you think?
Well, for what I want to say to all the DJs out there, put all this to bed, let's rest, all this diversity. It's like with these DJs with the cliques, it's like they need to come together, work as one, so we can push this thing forward as far as the culture. It's like we got to stop thinking about just here in Chicago and think worldwide. And everything that we do, because this is authentic. Like what you're doing, kudos to you as far as documenting and letting people know that the culture, because I was looking at Mel Sharon from West End Records out of New York, Paradise Garage and all that, and how he says, oh, well, house music really started in New York, and then Frankie took it to Chicago, and then, you know what I mean? No, we got to understand, like, house music was started in Chicago, and what you guys are doing is documenting and curating all these different events and stuff to show where it came from. So this diversity that these DJs, we need to kill that and work together.
I think you're so right.
I'll say one more thing. I know that you have the movie, but what I would like to see and invest in is a real movie with live people documenting the house, getting in touch with people like me, him, the promoters. Everybody need to be involved, like you said, with the fashion and then some. I would really like to do that, and I don't mind investing in it.
Okay, well, Barbara Allen, fantastic documentary. She has a lot of footage. She has, she's award-winning producer and director, and so we talked to her about. They've got a lot of footage from a lot of different people. Joe Shanahan is watching. Hey, Joe. Louis Green, what's up? I feel like there are a lot of stories that haven't been told because you can only tell so many stories.
Right.
But if you did sort of a docu-series where you did sort of, and maybe you could get picked up and do, you know how some of these things, it's all about sort of who's listening and who's learning. But this is international information. This is international history. These fantastic DJs were all over the world with #1 hits all over the world. And I think those stories and your story is equally as important as, everyone's story. So I think that's the next step then. So maybe you can help us do that. I still want to talk to all these people. Ernie Scott, what's up? All the people on these flyers that I haven't seen in, 40 years. We want to talk to you because your story is equally as important as well. Any last words? Can people see you somewhere on Instagram or, I don't know if, normally the DJ folks will have their whole catalog of, channels ready to go, but where can we see you next?
I'm DJ Scott. My DJ name on Instagram is DJ Scott 012418. I do travel and I do attend all the award shows. So if you look, you probably see me somewhere right in the front. One of them was Soul Train. I'll be at NAACP February 22nd.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's awesome. And where can we catch you? Or you got to get your son's stuff out there too. Go ahead. Where can we see you?
Oh, now I'm on Instagram, Jeff Johnson 5353. Okay. Jeff Johnson 5353, whichever one you want to say. I'm working on some things with a couple of the DJs right now on the label side, on the merch side. And like I said again, we're looking to deal with stuff internationally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Well, gentlemen, I'm so thankful that you came to the station twice and blessed all of us with these fantastic stories of house music back in the day, all the wonderful places in which they created and assisted with the movement of house. So we really appreciate you. Thanks for coming to WNUR 89.3 FM and HD1 Evanston, Chicago. This is the Vintage House Show on the Street Beat show here at WNUR. Have a great night, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple weeks. We are going to be streaming, but we will not be live next week because it is the Thanksgiving holiday. But also check out the Vintage House Show crew on Wednesday. We will be at Metro, so check out Metro. We are hosting, and DJ Lori Branch with the Good Girls they're spinning at Metro. And then also the 27th. Oh no, they're spinning at Metro on Friday. This Friday they're spinning at Metro, and then on the 27th we will be at Navy Pier. You can check out the exhibit, but you can also check out Bad Boy Bill, Lori Branch, a few other folks who are going to be spinning at House Giving at Navy Pier. So check us out for all of our channels, vintagehouseshow.us. Have a great night. So we're still live on here. Thanks everyone for coming and checking us out. Hey, Brian Hayes, we know Donald Crosley is awesome. We love him so much. Sorry I couldn't put all your things on the screen. I'm double dutying it today. And Valerie, what's up, Scott? We really appreciate you all checking us out. But stay tuned. Next week we're going to have a fantastic encore show, and then we'll be back for December. Have a great holiday, guys.
You know, we could have done this for 3 or 4 hours.
Oh yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. Let me try to do one more thing. Can I do that? I can't see my own things.
Thanks for listening to the Vintage House Show podcast. Please subscribe and share, and check us out live, WNUR 89.3 FM, Wednesdays at 10 o'clock.